Before we get going into your Hockey IQ podcast episode, I want to thank our sponsor, Rapid Shot. Rapid Shot is the smart shooting lane. It's like a batting cage for hockey players. Very cool. Tracks your shot in 3 ways: accuracy, shot speed, and reaction time. Easy to use. Actually, I used it when I played and was growing up. Very easy. Simply scan your phone in, select your settings, and start shooting. You can see your stats on the app and online. You can check them out at rapidshot.com. Great small business. I actually grew up with one of the owner's sons and have played with all the family members by now, just in local pickups here in Ohio. Very cool local business. Awesome product. I love it. I know quite a few NHLers have them in their homes. A lot of D1 programs have it at their rinks. So you have to check this out. Rapidshot.com. Check it out. Rapid Shot, thank you so much for sponsoring our podcast. All right. On the Hockey IQ podcast today, we bring on Nick Bowins of the Hockey Collective. Did I pronounce your name right?
You did. Nailed it. Good start.
Finally got someone's name right. I like it. You made it easy, though. I feel like yours is easier than most.
Perfect. Well, thanks for having me.
So let's get right into it here. You were once voted the most sportsmanlike player. So I'm assuming you're not throwing many checks here. So I'm curious to hear the story around, like, how does one become the most sportsmanlike? And it's really saying something because you're already Canadian.
Yeah. No, super polite Canadians, you know us. But yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty small guy, not too skilled, not too physical. Kind of just got to fit in there and play the role. Two-way defenseman, chip it off the glass and out. Stay out of the box. Keep it easy.
Yes. I don't know. Maybe it's just the American in me. We need a little bit of in there. Give him the old elbow behind the play. I don't know, but no. It sounds like you're a wonderful guy up there in Canada, making igloos and playing with polar bears. So, but apparently you've got a little bit of a hockey itch in you. So, tell us a little bit about the Hockey Collective. I don't know how. Maybe because I'm a Twitter guy. Just found the Hockey Collective, but super exciting stuff that you guys are sharing.
Absolutely. I won't take it personal, but yeah, so the Hockey Collective was founded in 2012 by Patrick. I'm stepping in here for him today, but Pat's been killing it on Instagram in particular for the better part of a decade now. We've got over 350,000 followers on Instagram, and the goal is every day to try and grow the game that we love. We're trying to be different than TSN, Sportsnet, all those other companies. We try to make it a little bit more fun, edgy, honest, kind of to the casual fan there. We like sharing the players that you don't see every day on TV. We like sharing the smaller clips, the breaking news, and really just trying to grow the game. We've got a pretty devoted audience over time here, and we've got people that comment on 5, 6, 7 posts a night while they're sitting there watching the game. And that's what we're all about, is kind of creating that audience that just loves the game for what it is. I joined here about 2 years ago to help Pat, and since then we've expanded to TikTok. We've got 40,000 followers on TikTok, trying to make some fun content on there, and we've got an apparel store coming pretty soon. So that's kind of what we're up to right now. And it's been a pretty fun ride.
So you're basically the Shopify of the hockey world is what I'm hearing is coming next.
That'd be all right by us. But yeah, I mean, we've got a great fan base and people who love our content, and really just trying to help bring them together here and build more of a community over time.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And I'm all about growing the game and keeping our participation up because, we're the big four, but I feel like soccer's coming. It's going to be the big five here, and we might get surpassed. So curious about what kind of strategies you guys are utilizing to really grow the game, giving more access maybe to the more common fan or people who live up in Canada and don't have the NHL network.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a big one that you just touched on there is up here in Canada, you got TSN, Sportsnet, whatever else. They show kind of your local teams, your local demographic, and that's about it. Growing up, I didn't really see the American team highlights. It was all Leafs, Oilers, Habs jam down your throat every day. So, I mean, we're trying to showcase the things that you might not see on TV every night or every day, whether that's a cool move that didn't result in a goal or a big hit that led to a different play developing. I think we like bringing those different elements to the casual fan and really trying to help grow the game and its viewership that way. As we know, the game's growing and growing in the States especially, and trying to highlight some of these smaller markets. I mean, you look at what Florida and Tampa have done over the last decade, and it's awesome to see the game grow in that fashion. And we hope to just continue building on that.
Yeah, I saw a stat. I want to say it was a few days ago where Nevada, obviously, where the Las Vegas Knights are out of, just absolutely amazing. They had almost 7x. So they've had, for every one player they now have 7 players. And they started, 2019, 3 seasons ago. So 3-4 years. I mean, if you said that we're going to have 7 times the amount of players we have today, like, holy smokes, I would even thought you're lying. And I thought Vegas was a great place to go into because they don't have any other sports teams, but it's just unbelievable where the game is popping up these days. Absolutely fascinating. I'm curious from your perspective, you get to see all of these teams 24/7. You're pulling clips, you're making it happen. Where do you find joy in the games these days? I mean, watching that much hockey, I feel like that's got to be rough. It's fun, but also like, oh man, another day, another highlight.
It is. You summed it up well there. And it's fun, but it's a lot of work to try and find all the clips and everything at the best times, right? So I think for me, I grew up a diehard Leafs fan, and I still watch majority of their games in full. But aside from that, just trying to appreciate the players more than teams in a sense, kind of attached to the guys that you really like watching, the skilled players, the way that the game's evolving, whether it's guys like Marner, Matthews, Jack Hughes, Svechnikov, Kaprizov, Heiskanen, Makar, all these young guys that are so fun, trying to enjoy them and appreciate what they're bringing to the game as much as I am watching a team. There was a point in my life where, hey, this team's playing the 1-2-2, they're doing this, they're doing that is interesting. But now watching so many games, I think trying to appreciate the little things is how I personally find joy in it, and kind of go from there.
Well, obviously I watch quite a bit of hockey as well. I'm curious, what are those little details that you just love picking out of a game? I mean, for me, it could be a slip pass, someone throwing their hands to get onside and allow their team to get in the zone and let their body catch up to it. Like all these little details that usually go unnoticed, but for the astute eye, you're really picking up on. I'm curious for you, what are those little details that you love so much?
Yeah, I think like you said, there's so many, but something you wrote about the other day, folding under, that's one that I always like to watch for. I like watching for the inversions on the power play when it's a D carrying it up and dropping it back. I think that's just such an interesting dynamic on a breakout. One that I just love that's been simple, but Makar and Marner especially exploiting it lately, the kind of head and shoulder fake back up the wall and then continue skating with it. Those two guys in particular have just perfected it, where you'll catch the penalty killer full sell, turn to the blue line, and they'll carry it up the wall and get a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2 down low that creates offense, because those guys are so good. And I think a lot of those different things, but I mean, even as simple as watching the teams that are playing with the high F3 these days, it just changes the dynamic every couple of years. We see different things in the game like that, and it's so interesting to watch the way that the game's evolved, and it's changed from dump it in, cycle it, nail a guy in the corner, all the different things that we've seen over the last kind of decade or so.
Yeah, it's almost like baseball. The nerds are ruining the sport, right? No,
Absolutely.
I'm joking a little bit there, being a little facetious. But I mean, Eric Tulsky back in 2013, I remember he wrote that paper in the offseason, like every team across the NHL was dumping less. And it's amazing where the game's evolved. One of the areas I really like is watching how defense will actually surf. So they'll come all the way from one side, skate forward, all the way across the ice to angle off a player. And just seeing how that operates. Sometimes their partners are a little thick in the skull and don't realize that they need to slide at the backside, but like those are just really cool details. Going back a little bit, I'm curious, what do you like so much about the folding under concept?
I just think the teams that utilize it, it just makes it it makes it so much easier to follow the full breakout. When you see a team like Carolina, who I think does it the most probably with their guys, when you follow that route, it just kind of opens up different lanes. I mean, another one like that to add on the Makar point is just how much he activates on the weak side leaving the zone, right? So when you see a guy or a team that utilizes those aspects so often, it's simplistically beautiful that those guys are able to do it and exploit it so often, right? And it just adds an element to the game. And I think looking for all those little things, and whether it's, hey, this D man's not good on his backhand, let's do a soft dump here and chase that in. It's all those little things that the casual fan may not notice, but we pick up on and you enjoy and you appreciate. I saw a quote from Kobe the other day about how when they were playing a team, if somebody had just signed a contract and somebody was up for a contract the next year, they double team the guy who was up for a contract next year so that he'd get mad at the guy who just got paid for never giving him the ball. And it would just cause a little rift between them at halftime, right? And then they wouldn't get the ball. And it's those little things, like on TV, you see Matthews dump it into this corner. But then you think about it and, okay, that defenseman's turned it over 3 times this shift and he's not good on his backhand and there's no zone exit here. So thinking about all those things on a deeper level, I think is just, to me at least, it's so entertaining, even though it probably sounds a little bit nerdy.
That Kobe fact is absolutely new to me. I've never heard of that one before. So you double team the guy that is going to get paid, but not the guy who just got paid. So that way, fascinating. Didn't even think of that, but that I could see that in basketball. I'm not sure how that would work in hockey, but that's unbelievable.
It's just so finite, the details, right? When you think about it that way. And I know basketball is completely different in the way that they play ISOs and man on man and everything like that. But you listen to a guy, obviously, like Kobe, rest in peace, or JJ Redick, and it's almost like that's what we need in hockey is a current player talking about the little nuanced defensive and offensive skills that they do that the casual fan doesn't see on TV.
Or the Manning brothers.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that would just all the little tips, tricks, the things that you don't notice because these guys are 6'2", 200 pounds skating around at 35 kilometers an hour. All those little things that you don't pick up on, I think, are just so interesting.
Fascinating. Yeah, I like that. And you were talked about Makar, and yes, he's probably the best at it and he's got the wheels for it. But like, just for modern day defense and team tactics, I think every fan can appreciate what you mentioned about being active on the weak side and getting up the ice. It's really where the game has gone. And I know you're not for the Habs, being a Leafs guy and having it shoved down your throat too much, but I mean, Marty St. Louis, like I feel like the biggest change on the Habs is now everyone feels involved. They're using 5-man units, and that weak side defenseman is joining the rush or is coming in late. So now you're turning a 3-on-2 into a 4-on-2 or 3-on-3, and you got someone who's doing delay tactics and finds that late guy. And you're seeing guys like Petrie and Kulak that are coming alive when maybe you wouldn't see that beforehand when it was Ducharme. So I love that you mentioned that. That's great. I absolutely love that. Curious, maybe some of your favorite players around the league and maybe a tidbit or two that you really love about him. Like for me, I love Rasmus Dahlin, like huge fan of Rasmus Dahlin. So like, that's my guy. Tips I love is just how he like manipulates space. He has his gaffes, but he also plays on the Sabres, so everyone should give him a little slack. But like, he's got great details and a lot of aggressiveness that is just super modern.
Yeah, no, I think there's so many today. Like we said before, the skill and it's just evolved so much over the last couple of years, especially. Obviously, my Leafs bias says Matthews and Marner are amazing. Just some of the things they do out there, like you can't comprehend some of the passes that Marner makes. The way that Matthews curls his shot in and gets it off is just, I've never seen it before, and fires me up every time. But staying away from the Leafs, I mean, Jack Hughes is another guy that's just so skilled, and I think he's figuring it out year by year. He's getting better and better. I think the sky's the limit for a guy like Jack Hughes. Being a defenseman myself, I love Heiskanen. I don't know what it is, but his skating ability, the way that he snaps a D to D breakout, like there's not too many guys that can retrieve and break out as quickly and as cleanly as Heiskanen can. I think that's one thing there. Everybody's on the Zegras hype train lately, that's for sure. And I mean, really, Svechnikov in Carolina. I think Carolina is so fun to watch the way that Rob Brendamore has them set up. It's just, speaking of deactivating, like they do it perfectly, and they're just such a fun team to watch. I think that they're gonna go on a nice little run this year. But Svechnikov, the way he'll just shoot from anywhere, but then he'll hang on to the puck, and find Teravainen or Aho backdoor. It's a work of art when he's out there.
Thoughts on Johnny Hockey?
Super underrated, working his way into the Hart conversation almost this year with the way he's been playing. And I mean, I think it's really interesting. Obviously, we've touched on a few coaches. Like, who would have predicted that when Sutter stepped in there, little Johnny Hockey would be a star with them, right? I think the first couple games were rough. There was a couple quotes from Sutter, but you look at the way that he's played, and it's been awesome. Calgary's been on a tear. He's so shifty. I think that's probably the best word you can use to describe Johnny, is just shifty with the puck. And his head fakes, shoulder fakes are on another level. And I mean, his vision out there, impeccable, really.
I think the detail for Johnny, and no one will really pick this up, except, everyone loves over the top punt pass for Toffoli scoring, or throwing in a saucer pass into an area, but like, he's really, really talented at being a good route runner.
Yep.
Or a route skater in hockey here. Like, he is willing to skate and do the route, even if the puck's not going to go to him, because he knows eventually it will, or he's drawing back players that opens up space for his teammates. And I think that's an underrated thing that we don't talk about enough. Is like, we all talk about playmaking and he can pass the puck really well, but how about the guys that are able to get open really well? Like, Johnny will just take off and go and assume that the puck's going to get to him. Like, what does that do to the other team? What does that do for your teammates? Like, sometimes you're getting breakaways, which he's really good with. I mean, there's a breakaway that he got in overtime the other night, and he just basically took a chance. Like, it might work, might not, but he was able to get behind the defense and score some goals. And I think that cheating would be the wrong word. I mean, it's very strategic when he goes. And as you know, Sutter would not allow true cheating in the game of hockey. He's an old-time coach.
Absolutely. No, and I think that's a really good thing you brought up there with the routes. I think routes lead to space. And I think we started talking about space as casual fans a couple years before acknowledging the routes and how a guy gets there, right? Everybody talks about, oh, Matthews finds space for a shot. Besser finds space for a shot. Ovechkin finds space. Okay, but how did they get there? And I think that's what you're saying with Johnny there. It's so impressive to watch. Okay, I'm going to fill the dot lane here for a second, but once I hit the blue line, boom, 45 left, and all of a sudden I've got some space here. Lindholm's going to find me for a pass, and like you said, it's not cheating, it's predicting there, right? He's predicting that his line mates are going to find him. They know that he skates that route in practice. He skates that route in the game, so when push comes to shove, he's going to be open there, and they're going to find him.
So one other player that just joined, but I'm sure you've seen him a few times now, Matt Boldy. I think he's got some fascinating elements into his game and how he attacks space, either in front of the D or behind the D. Like, he never forces it. Like, I feel like he has this either intuitive sense of it, or has really picked up on the fact that, like, if a D's playing you hard, the space is probably behind him. If the D's playing you soft, the space is probably in front of him. Is able to manipulate that. And I know, like, his first few points in the NHL were him, like, literally coming across the line and then picking on that defense vertically and creating those mini 2-on-1s. And I thought that was fantastic. I know you watch quite a bit, because I think you're a Kaprizov fan.
Yeah, absolutely. No, both of those guys are going to be great.
So you watched much of Boldy? Have you checked out his game quite yet?
Yeah, they played the Leafs there a couple weeks ago, so I saw that one. I've seen a few other games of Minnesota's lately, and obviously a couple highlights of Boldy. What impresses me is just the willingness to take a shot, the ability to get open there. He always knows that he's going to get open and get a shot off. He's put up some big shot numbers in a couple games, whether it's 4, 5, 6 in a game, and I think that's just so impressive for a young guy to trust their strengths and know that when they get open, their teammates are going to find them. Another guy that really reminds me of Boldy in that sense is Tage Thompson in Buffalo. He's just putting up a ton of shots lately, and it's working for him. He's scoring at a pretty torrent pace, and it's just interesting to see those are both two big, skinnier guys that are able to find space and get a hard shot off really frequently. I think it's neat to see a different type of player there, right?
Absolutely. Well, I'm loving that we're picking out these players and details. So let's run down the league here. I'll give you a team. We won't do all 32, but I'll give you a team. You give me a player and a detail of that player that you really love and appreciate. So let's start with the defending Stanley Cup champions, Tampa Bay Lightning.
Tampa Bay Lightning. I think I gotta go with Brayden Point here. I think, again, talking about routes, the way that him and Kucherov are able to split open and find each other's seams is just amazing. I know we've posted a couple clips lately that did fairly well, we'll say, of those two working together, and especially at speed. There was one we posted the other day where he was back checking and he caught a guy from probably 35, 40 feet behind him and he curled to do so. And I think the speed and the routes that Brayden Point plays with allow him to be such a smart and useful player. I think obviously there's some stars in Tampa, but he stands out to me every time I watch them. He's doing something right.
Yeah, they're really good at playing between coverage. So when they get that puck, like you see the two guys looking at each other like, which one of us is supposed to go get that guy?
Yeah.
Really tough. New York Rangers. What do you got for New York Rangers? I mean, they've got a nice young team and they're top in the Metro for quite some time.
Yeah, I think Shesterkin's been amazing this year, but I don't even pretend to be an expert on goaltending, so I got nothing there. Adam Fox, his gap control is amazing. The way that he can defend off the rush and then somehow get the puck back and turn it into a chance for his team is crazy. He's going to be amazing for a long time to come. His edges, his skating all impress me. Kind of similar to Makar there. I'd say Makar's the better skater and Fox might be the better defender there, but super close there. And I think Panarin's always just a wizard with the puck, and the way that he can find guys at full speed is it's amazing to see. That's a guy that does not like dumping it in. He likes finding teammates and waiting and holding, curling back to find somebody. Rangers are a fun team, man. They could if they add somebody this year, they could be a fun team in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think for me, Fox is head up play. I mean, like, I don't think he looks down at all. It's quite ridiculous. Even the superstars look down every once in a while, and he never does. Panarin, I think he just like understands his, I call it gravity. Like he just pulls people in and then he'll move them where he wants them to go, like out of the ice that he wants his teammates to actually be in. So like, I feel like being Panarin's teammate's like the easiest thing ever. Okay, wherever that guy that's covering him just came from, that's where you need to be. Like that's absolutely fascinating.
Gravity's a really good way to put it there. And like you said, I think in basketball, I think they call it manipulation usually, with bringing in the passer, manipulate them in, and then you're able to open it up there. Gravity's a good way to put it. And that's exactly what he does, right? He draws in, sucks in the F1 and the defender, and then somebody's back door, and it's gorgeous.
All right. We'll do just two more in the East and then we'll go out West. But Blue Jackets, we're in Columbus. Got to hit them up.
Leafs in Columbus playing tonight as we speak. That's a good one. Zach Werenski, I think, for me. Talk about.
I did a great piece on him on how he actually scores goals because he led the NHL in scoring 2 years ago.
He did. He did. Talking about active D, I mean, that guy's never not in the rush. Like anybody watching a Columbus game, watch how many times he is the first Columbus Blue Jacket across the blue line. It's amazing. He will take charge. And I mean, I think one thing to point out there is just the willingness of coaches to have players doing that now. I don't think 10 years ago you were seeing a guy on D skate the puck in every shift, but with Werenski there in Columbus, like the freedom and green light that they give him to carry the puck and be a one-man breakout more times than not, it's amazing. And he's so good finding weak side openings for his partner. It's impressive, and he deserved every bit of that large contract he got.
He's not even that fast, so that's the part that amazes me. Like everyone's like, oh, you got to be fast, and no, you don't. You just need to be active in finding your spots and keeping good gap control and always monitoring your positioning. Like his positioning, I feel like is absolutely fantastic. Next, let's go to Detroit. I mean, you got a lot of options there to choose from. Really bad goal differential, but when they lose big, and that's okay for a young team as long as you're winning some other games. So the goal differential stinks, but they're actually pretty close to getting a playoff berth if everyone wasn't running away with it in the Metro.
Yeah, crazy division there doesn't help them, but man, they're going to be a fun team in a few years, or for a few years. I think Mo Seider's the first one that jumps out to me. The way that he defends for his age, he loves to play the body, which is a bit of a dying asset on the back end for fast, skilled defensemen. He's going to be he's Norris material for sure in a few years. I think
he does the reverse hit that many don't do, and I think it's fascinating to see a few players that do it. I don't know why it's where like the Swedes do it so well. I mean, Peter Forsberg did it a ton. Elias Pettersson does it a ton, and Mo Seider does a ton. He'll like get rid of the puck, and his first thing to do is like throw like a quick shoulder back the way just in case someone's coming and just nail him. Just by sheer odds, only a matter of time before player safety probably comes for him a little bit. But I mean, he's protected himself out there as a rookie.
No, he certainly is. And I think Forsberg's the perfect comparison there. He used to throw that weight around, just backing into guys, and it was awesome. It was he was really one of the first to do it, I think, that I recall. And I mean, even Kronwall and Lidstrom there, another couple Swedes that used to do it. They do it at a little bit higher speed and defending there. But no, I think Seider's amazing. And I think I mean, not a really hot take, but Raymond as well. He's been awesome again with the manipulation, the gravity, as you said, pulling guys in, finding openings for teammates. He's got a great shot. I saw a comparison the other day that through 46, 48 games, whatever it is, him and Marner had the exact same stats through their first 40, 50 career games, which I think that's a great comparison for moving forward. And I think Red Wings fans should be pretty happy with those two guys.
Yeah, not bad at all. Anaheim, I'm going to pick this one for you, but Troy Terry, holy smokes, he good.
Super interesting. I mean, I don't think I really predicted this breakout. I don't know if you did or if you saw it coming before this year.
A little bit, not superstar land, but star land.
I think everything we've talked about applies to him. Just the IQ. I think the way he thinks and sees the game is what's impressed me the most. Again, another tall, skinny American guy that's not afraid to shoot it. That's a good thing too. I think he's going to be something special in Anaheim. I think the way that he's not afraid to curl back, wait for a play to kind of form, let his teammates get set up is something that really you don't see too often.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of his one-on-one stuff I think is absolutely fascinating. Like he hides a puck in another person's triangle, like the space between the toe caps and the stick really, really well. So like you see him get a puck and then he's like lets it glide as he's like sliding past someone, and this person's like trying to kick and trying to pull their stick back, and they just look really, really dumb, and he's right on by. I think how he does that, and he just taps a puck into a space, lets it slide, and grabs it on the other side. It's just absolutely fascinating.
I love that you said that. I hadn't noticed that with him. I'm gonna have to watch that for sure. But I think that's such an underutilized or under talked about thing. Putting it in the tripod, right? Getting it between their stick and their feet. The guys that can do that well, it's just so impressive. And there was a quote, again, Leafs bias, but a quote from Hyman a couple years ago where somebody asked him why he doesn't hit too much on the forecheck or something, and he said, my goal is to get the puck in between their stick and their feet, because then Matthews and Marner are so good with their sticks that they'll just come in and pick it up on the forecheck. He's like, that's my whole job, whether I'm hitting their hands, lifting their stick. I just have to get the puck between their feet and the stick, and we're going to get it. And I think that's so interesting and something that you didn't hear about 5-10 years ago, right?
Yeah. I mean, Nick Bunting's like almost a mini Zach Hyman. They did a great job on getting him. He'd be my like underrated player on the Leafs. Not that you can't underrate a Leaf player, but that would be the guy I would choose there. Arizona. Let's go with Arizona next. I mean, they're probably going to finish bottom of the league because Marty St. Louis, who we had on as podcast guest, is killing it up in Montreal. I mean, they're neck and neck at 37 and 36, but I do think Arizona has some very, very interesting pieces. The depth is definitely not there, but they've got some interesting pieces.
They do, for sure. And I mean, they've got 1,000,001 drafts picks over the next 5 years or so. So hopefully they hit on a few. I mean, Schmaltz had a 7-point night the other night. That was just a few days ago there. So that's an interesting one. But I think Keller as well, talking about hands in tight, tripod, curling away from defenders. I think Keller's patience with the puck and his ability to find a lane out of nowhere. And I mean, respectfully to the Coyotes, he's not always out there with great players. So his ability to find guys, it's impressive, really. And he's having a pretty good year for, like you said, a bottom feeder team. Keller is just, he's kind of that next age super skilled player for sure.
Yeah, I call it like feeling his way through pressure. Like he'll go at a guy and then pull away, or like, I mean, it's a little bit of gravity, but like he understands the other person's or the opponent's space that they feel like they need to guard. And as soon as you get it, it's like getting a bass, like they can't help but bite. Like you just grab him and boom, and he pulls it. And for me, I think the fascinating thing is I want to know who his mental skills coach is, or who he had growing up, or maybe it's just in him, or his parents helped build up the mental strength, because having the confidence as high as it is with winning as little as he does is absolutely amazing. Like Mosier is a perfect example in the back end there. Like when he's playing confident, like he is a top end NHL defenseman already at age 21, undrafted until his last possible year, gets picked in the second round and comes over, and he was just killing it. And then you saw like just getting scored on. I mean, like the NHL is a hard league, and you can see how he's dropping. He's, no longer hiding his stick. Like he, an elite NHL player, and most of them are elite to alien status nowadays. Like the skill level is unbelievable. Like they want you to put your stick out too far, because now they know exactly where your triangle is, or they know you're not poke checking them because you don't have any more range. So like, I think Keller is a absolutely fascinating player. Yeah, just like Cole Caulfield is on Montreal, bottom feeders, but man, are they just so good.
So manipulative, and I don't use that word in a bad way, right? They're able to, like you said, they're almost puppeteering the defense. Pull your foot this way, pull your stick this way, get you to stretch out this way. The way that they can manipulate the space and the ice, the room that they have to work with there. Those little guys, man, they got it figured out.
All right, let's go one last team, and then we'll wrap this section up, and we can go wherever you want after that. But really loved the work that Don Granato is doing in Buffalo, so I really want to head back there. I know we talked about Dahlin, you talked about Tage. Are there any other players that really stick out to you? I think they've got some interesting depth guys, maybe not the elite names, or just maybe like some team play stuff, could be in Buffalo or elsewhere, that you think is super interesting around the league.
Yeah, Buffalo's interesting one. To me, the one guy that I've caught lately, I think he's battling some injuries right now, so hopefully he gets back soon. But Alex Tuch, I think that guy's just a winner. Like you talk about the mental stuff there with Keller, I think that guy just he just seems so driven. Every time he gets the puck, he wants to make something happen. Every time there's a 50-50 battle, he's in there getting body position. He's following up. The way that he follows up on checks, the way that he's again similar theme with the Sabres, but not afraid to shoot, throw it on net. I think I think getting Tuck in the Eichel deal was huge for the Sabres. I think that when they start to figure it out and move a little north in the standings, that's a guy that the fans are absolutely going to gravitate towards. And I mean, he's a New York guy playing in Buffalo, and I think he's just a great fit there for the Sabres.
Something I think that's underrated about his game is his puck protection skills. And a lot of times, like he'll just protect it with one hand on his stick, and like he'll throw a chuck with his elbow where you kind of get in on the other guy's arms. You're able to like push yourself off him a little bit. Absolutely fascinating stuff. I think it was against Boston one year, and I was talking with a group of coaches because it got brought up, I think, in the off season with him and a bunch of other NHL players. And we're talking about the clip that he showed with them, and like all of these defensemen on this elite camp were like talking about, like, I don't know how to defend this. Like, I don't think it's possible. Like, just unbelievable. And then you see how great of a person he is, and you're like, he's got so much to it. And like you said, the drive to always look to make a play. We're not just getting rid of pucks. Yeah, you saw him in Vegas, right? Like he's a winner. Just a matter of surrounding yourself with more and more talent. Buffalo's got probably the best goalies. Like they got three guys that could be top half NHL goalies. So that's an exciting team. Finally, Buffalo's got something in the pipeline there. So excited for them. Yeah, I think they got some good people there. Finally, Sam Ventura. He's in the back office working his analytics. He was with he's at Carnegie Mellon, Pittsburgh Penguins for a bit. Now he's there. Now suddenly they're making great deals. They got Don Granato, Donnie Meatballs behind the bench, and I'll always go to bat for that guy. Would have been a long-time NHL coach had it not been for the first bout with cancer. And yeah, finally got guys like Tuck and Krabs, and it's going to be a fun team. So I'm gonna win some hearts with the Leafs and Sabres fans, clearly.
Yeah, no, I think that sounds good. But yeah, like you said, I mean, Buffalo fans deserve it, man. You've seen the Bills fans and stuff over the last couple of years. Like these Sabres fans, they deserve a winning team, and I think it'll be good for hockey to get the Sabres back up there. I mean, when we were younger, the Ryan Miller days, and you bring back those old black and red jerseys. Buffalo was a fan favorite around the league, and I think they're on their way back there.
Awesome. Well, yeah, 2 minutes. Anything you want to talk about? Let's do it. Otherwise, I've run out of good questions, but I really enjoyed this conversation. I thought this was really fun, and the listeners are really going to appreciate it.
No, absolutely. I appreciate you having myself on here. Like I said, check out Hockey Collective if you guys haven't yet. Pretty big presence on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok as well. Really trying to grow the game and share it with the fans. We've got a lot of the old school content with some of the physicality, the fights. Lucic and McDermott had a good one the other night. We try to break down some skills clips as well with all the youth movement we see around the league these days. So many fun players, so many fun teams right now. You look at the top 5 teams around the league, and there's just so much skill. I think we just got to kick back and enjoy it. And like I said, check us out, and appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. See you around.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg.
That concludes this week's episode. Thanks for joining us here at Hockey IQ. If you haven't already, take a quick moment to hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and drop a review. If you want to be a great teammate, even recommend us to a friend. You can follow us at Hockey's Arsenal on Twitter and Instagram. Check out the website, hockeysarsenal.com, where you can subscribe to the weekly newsletter. You won't regret it. Catch your buttes here next week for a brand new episode.